I got Tracie Savage with me, and of course, she's in Friday the 13th, Part 3, and in 3D. I saw it in 3D.
Oh,
And
yes,
then,
it was, Keith, the highest grossing 3D film of all time back
oh,
40 years ago.
well, yeah. And I was like, oh my goodness. And
Yeah.
also, she's a part of 13th Fanboy. And I'm going to talk about her career and all that stuff. And say hi to Tracie Savage. Hi, Tracie.
Hello. It's really, Keith, a pleasure to be here and to talk with you. And I'm looking forward to, of course, spending the weekend with you and all the folks in Topeka.
Oh yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I've heard. I think we're going to do a pretty good crowd and all that stuff. So yes, it's going to be outstanding.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay. First off, let's talk about Friday the 13th, Part 3. I got I own it on the new Friday the 13th box set that came out. I own it several other different ways. How did that movie kind of change your career and all that stuff?
Well, actually, Keith, it's really interesting. I had been a child actress since I was 2 years old.
Yes.
And I did commercials, tons of television, guest appearances on Happy Days and Eight is Enough.
Yes.
And Family and
and Lizzie Borden.
And Lizzie Borden, that's right.
My goodness.
I played Elizabeth Montgomery, who played Lizzie. I played her as a child.
Oh my God, yes.
And I was on Little House on the Prairie for 2 years. And so I worked throughout my whole childhood on television and doing films and commercials. And I was in college and I was really pretty much retired from the business. I loved working in the industry, but I didn't have the passion for it that you really need to make it. I also didn't really want to be starving, waiting for a job to come along.
Yeah.
I wanted to sort of pick a career that I could build and grow with. And acting is really tough. And I was good. I was a good actress, but I wasn't a great actress. I was always up against like Jodie Foster and Helen Hunt. And these were actresses that worked all the time and were really good. If they had jobs, I might actually get hired because they were doing something, they were booked on something else. But so it wasn't really it was fun to do as a kid, but I was pretty much retired. I had gone to UCLA for a year and a half, and I was getting ready actually to move to Michigan, to transfer to University of Michigan. And my mother, who was a stage mom for years and years, opened up a child's talent agency, and she became one of the top kids talent agents in Los Angeles and Hollywood for 40 years. But she opened it up when I was about 16. And I helped her in her office, helped her get started, as a kid, helped her a little bit. And then I'm getting ready to leave town, and she would send me out on things. And she called me and said, "Hey, they're looking for an actress in this movie. I don't know too much about it, but it's shooting locally. It's shooting in the spring. Would you have any interest?" And I'm like, "Oh, Mom, I'm going away to college and I'm done with the business." And she's like, "Well, just, give it a try." So I did. And I didn't know what it was. The script was titled Crystal Japan, which is a strange, bizarre title.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was. And I also, it was only part 3. So it wasn't like there were a dozen of these movies that have been going on for 20 years. I didn't know that much about Friday the 13th anyway. And anyway, I got the part, and I thought, well, I'm going to be an out-of-state student at Michigan with really high tuition, not like it is today, but high enough.
Yeah.
So I took a semester off. I was still at UCLA, but I took a semester off and made the movie. And so I, in terms of how it impacted my career, it was sort of like at the end of my career.
Yeah.
I did the move. I shot the movie. I took the spring semester off. I shot the movie. It came out in the summer. I went back to UCLA for a semester, and then I moved to Michigan, and I got a degree. I finished up my education at University of Michigan and got a degree in communications with an emphasis in broadcasting, journalists.
Yes.
And got my first reporting job, TV reporting job, just down the road from Ann Arbor, Michigan, in Toledo, Ohio. And so I was kind of done with showbiz, and that was kind of my last thing. I had no clue that movie would become really part of this incredible series and franchise. And I had no idea that, 40 years later, we'd still be talking about it. No idea. And I didn't talk about it much for a few years, the first few years as I worked as a TV reporter, because I didn't want to be thought of as an actress who's doing news. I'd gotten a college degree and I had studied and I had done an internship, but I wanted to be taken seriously as a journalist. So I didn't discuss it much. It would eventually, people would find out, like, aren't you? And, and then it was okay. It was fine. But in the last 20 years, I've had a blast with it, just because it's, there's people just love the whole series. And, but so as far as my career, I was kind of done with the business when I did this.
Wow. That's hard to believe, Well, you made good. You went back to Michigan, got your degree, you're in journalism and all that, that's a pretty good deal, So, I got a question for you. So what brought you back to act in 13 Fanboy?
Well, I was working as a reporter for 30 years.
Oh, yes.
And when I was at NBC, I did a couple of acting, I'm a Screen Actors Guild member. I have a resume. And my mom was still an agent, and occasionally she'd get calls for TV shows and movies that are looking for reporters on the, to act as a reporter in a movie, in their TV show. So I did an episode of Monk, which was a TV series where
I know. I love Monk.
I did an episode of 8 Simple Rules to Date Your Daughter. And I did I played a reporter, did a couple other shows where I played reporters. So I was still occasionally doing it, one day here, one day there, mostly for fun, mostly maybe as a favor to a director that I'd known for years or a producer I'd known. And then later, while I was at NBC, an editor friend of mine wrote a horror film, and asked me to be in it. And actually he had moved back to Pennsylvania, and he flew the whole cast out, and I did a horror film there where I played the lead and had a blast with it. What's so fun is that I don't act, it's not my living. It's not, I don't depend on it. It's not, I don't like, oh gosh, is this going to get me another job? Do I need this to get me another job? I don't have any of those stresses. I don't have any of that pressure. So for me, an acting role is literally just play. Let's go play. Let's go have fun. And it's a break from my normal routine. And so I did that one movie about 10 years ago. And then 13 Fanboy came along. And again, it was the same thing. By the time 13 Fanboy came along, I'm teaching. I'm a college professor. And I have my summers free. And Deborah Voorhees, the producer and writer, and also Friday the 13th actress, called me, and we started talking. And she said, hey, I'm putting together this film where you'd play yourself, and it's a couple of days work. And would you be willing? And I'm like, of course, it sounds so much fun. I'd love to do it. So it's really, any acting job I've done since I was 18 years old or 19 was really just like on a whim and kind of as a hoot, like something fun to do and a change from the normal. I can't take it too seriously because I'm not I had never studied as an adult as an actor, and actors need to study. You got to go to acting classes.
Oh yeah,
really good. And I did, I don't do that. I didn't do that. So it was more just try not to embarrass myself and have fun.
Yeah. Well, you also, you teach journalism and film production in college. So do you ever talk about what you did in the past as far as acting and all that stuff?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, no matter when you're in Lizzie Borden or Happy Days or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right. So it's really great that I can combine all of my careers. My acting career was the first 20 years of my life. My journalism career was the next 30 years. And I've been teaching for the last 10 years. And they're all intermixed. And I can bring to the classroom, I teach journalism and I teach news writing. So, I did it. I was on the air for 30 years. And I am able to share my experiences as a professional news reporter, journalist, news anchor. I can share that. And then I also teach video production and audio production and film production. Basically, my students learn to shoot and edit and put together stories. And so, yeah, I'm able to talk about my experiences and the shows that I've worked on and share with them, what it was like. I also, anytime I do one of these acting gigs for fun, I take photos to be able to share with my students. This is what goes on in a low budget film. This person is working as the slate operator, the clapper, and but they're also script supervisor, and they're also, you know what I mean? And they rent gear. And so it's great. I'm able to share with them my experiences from when I was 2 years old to just 2 years ago, my whole life. And that, I think, makes it more fun for me. And I hope my students enjoy it too, because of that.
Does anybody not, when you have school and all that, people come in, do anybody not know who you are?
Oh, I'm sure. Probably. Because, well, I mean, I've been teaching for 10 years. So when I was on the air as a news reporter in Los Angeles, I was a household name. Yeah, but I was a household name. People knew who I was. I would go everywhere and people would recognize me. But I've been off the air for 10 years. I've been teaching for 10 years. And, some of my students are 18 years old. So, they wouldn't have known me from the news. Their parents would, or their grandparents would, but they wouldn't. And then unless they're horror fans, which there are a ton of them.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Then the ones who are horror fans might not put it together, but I tell them, I have a little resume reel that I show, and it has some pictures of me with a knife through the neck, and blood, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's you! That was you!" So yeah. I don't know how many actually knew before my class started, but they learned on the first day what my background is, and they learn, what I'd done. And the ones who love the horror films are like really excited and think it's kind of cool.
Oh, yes, of course. What was it like to act with Elizabeth Montgomery?
She was amazing. Here's the thing, because I played her as a child.
Yes.
We were never in the same scenes. Well, right. Yeah. I was her character as a kid. So I would see her on the set. But I was young and little, and just, I was probably 12 or something. And I didn't get to engage with her too much. I know she was kind of quiet. Yeah. Wasn't, like a super social person, but I really didn't get to engage too much with her because we were never in the same scene because we played the same person.
Well, yeah. So I thought she might have been there just to maybe help you, do that,
Yeah.
But so, okay. I heard you called pro wrestling. You were a commentator or announcer or something. Now, I love sports, but I love wrestling too.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
That was a hoot. That was hysterical. It was so much fun. And it was really random. I mean,
yeah,
it was, I'm trying to remember who it was, some person I knew through the business, through broadcasting, who helped produce some of these pro wrestling matches.
yeah,
I mean, this was not like a great big one, like, you know, like you'd see on TV. It was it was done in a high school gym.
yeah.
There was an arena, and they asked me to come and you know, call the matches and open it up and introduce it and kind of play around on the, you know, stand up in the ring. And that was super fun. I took my son, he was little at the time, and we went backstage and saw all of the wrestlers together and got great photos of these, you know, characters. They wear all the makeup and the crazy hats, the crazy outfits. And that was really fun. That was a super fun experience. And, you know, when you're sort of a celebrity, you get invited and asked to do a lot. Like I was, you know, as a journalist, I was a celebrity. People knew me. You know, you get asked to do a lot of really interesting things, and that was definitely one of them. I don't even know how you found out about that. You must have done homework.
You betcha. As
Good for you.
As soon as I saw, I got to ask that, because I love pro wrestling since I was like 5 years old or something like that.
Awesome.
It's so much fun.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty crazy. I was afraid because we were sitting ringside and we were sitting pretty close, and you know, they threw each other over the ropes and onto the floor and breaking chairs. I thought, oh my God, we're all going to get landed on top of these wrestlers. It was super fun.
Yeah, I bet it was. So I think that I've had so many people ask about if you were coming.
Oh, that's nice.
And I said, yeah. And how many of these events have you done throughout since the last, you got what, 4 or 5? That's it?
I think it's 4 maximum.
Wow. See,
so I did one that was in Los Angeles when my son was just born.
Yeah.
And he's 17 and a half. So that was almost 17 and a half years ago. I did one then, and then so I hadn't done one in the 20 years before then, although I don't think there were a lot of the conventions back in the 80s or 90s. I don't know if the convention thing,
I've been running mine for 18 years.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I would say like it's been really popular for the last 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there weren't a ton of them anyway, but I was so busy with my career. I was living back in the Midwest for 8 years. And then I moved to back to Los Angeles, and I was, you know, working as a broadcaster. And I just didn't have time to do them. And then I had my son, and I couldn't really go away on weekends. It was too tricky. So I just didn't do them. So I did about 5 years ago, I did one in New Jersey. I've done 3 more since then. So it's 4 total. And They were all in New Jersey just by coincidence. Not that it was fun. And I the most recent one I did was at Blair's Diner. I just did that one. It's at the original Blair's Diner where the first Friday the 13th was shot.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so that was just the most recent one. And that was just a few months ago. And then, but I did 2 more before that. So no, I hadn't had really the time to do them. But now, because my son has grown up, and I am a college professor, I have my summers free. I'm more flexible, and I really found that I enjoy doing them. They're a blast. I love talking to these people, the fans. I think they're amazing and fun.
Oh, yes.
And so I've been doing them. You know, I did one a few months ago, and I've got yours,
Yeah.
And next weekend.
Oh,
And then
yes.
after that, I've got another one in Los Angeles, and then another one in Lexington,
Wow.
end of October.
So, so when do you start school again?
Well, I go back in a week and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
by the time you get done with our event, you're going to go right back to college.
That's right. I
to
finish.
teach.
I fly home from Topeka on that Sunday, and then my first day back is the next week, Tuesday.
Wow.
I have a class. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Tracie Savage, it's so good to talk with you.
It's my pleasure, Keith. Of course, we've known each other for years.
Oh,
And,
yes. Yeah, I tried to bring you in. Wow. The same year I brought in Deborah Voorhees too, and I thought, oh, this would be a great reunion. And yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been tough. It's not until literally this year that my schedule freed up enough and my son was old enough that I could travel and do this. So I'm excited. It'll be fun. I think we're going to have a great weekend.
Yeah, and you're going to come out and show Friday the 13th, part 3. It's not in 3D this time. It's not, but and also you're going to come out and be a part of showing
13 Fanboy.
13 Fanboy. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, but that I just love having you guys, because I've been doing this for so long. It's so nice to meet good people, and anybody I deal with, as far as people I bring out, they're always kind to people.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just But I'm sorry, Tracie Savage, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week, man.
My pleasure. I'm looking forward to it. I hope people come out and I get to meet a ton of people.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right.